You're up. You're on, Jan.
Excellent. Thank you. So lunch won't be at noon. That's a formal announcement. Yeah. So my name is Jan Slasky. I'm an expert researcher with Inotech Alberta out of Vegreville. And we rehearsed this. So wait, we are organized. We're organized in linear fashion. So the speakers will be as they sit in this chairs. So I will introduce, as opposed to Corey, I will introduce all speakers. But before I do so, I want to just build on what the minister has said. Indeed, and thank you to our guests from Manitoba for recognizing that we are, and you made a mistake. You said hemp industry, hemp fiber industry in Alberta. Yes, Alberta is about hemp fiber. And among all jurisdictions in North America and beyond, we are the strongest. And we have a lineup of just our finest people who are involved, who are developing this industry. The debate is, do we have industry or we don't have industry? I would say that with all those fine individuals on the stage, I would say that we are getting to have industry. And last 90 seconds, 15 years ago, I went for a conference to Winnipeg, Canadian Hemp Trade Alliance conference. That was the first conference that I attended, working for 6 years in Vegreville and working with hemp. And I came and I was asked by, I don't want to mention names because you will understand why. And then guys from hemp industry are asking me, what, you're working with hemp fiber? Straw is nuisance. We need to get rid of it. We don't know what to do with it. So they tried to discourage me that you're just, Jan, you're working in a very, very, in irrelevant space. I was not discouraged. Conversely, we formed Alberta Biomaterial Development Center. Laurie Jo is sitting here. We got, and I wanted to congratulate Minister Sigurdsson for government spending money well for our decortication facility that very many of you saw in the, just in Vegreville. And I think that what we have done, despite this discouragement at the CHTA, we worked hard to promote hemp fiber industry in Alberta, and very many of you here on the podium and in the room benefited from what Inotech Alberta has done. Without further ado, I will ask, and by the way, we have three CEOs on the stage and one team lead. So this, CEO, you can imagine who are CEOs, and team lead, in how many years you will be CEO? In 3 to 4 years, yes. So we'll start with Aaron Barr, CEO of Canadian Rockies Hemp Corporation. We'll move to Lauren Degenstein from Davy Textile Solutions, then Dan Madlang from Biocomposites Group, and then our stand-up comedian going acoustic. That's how he labeled himself. David Saltzman, yes, will be going acoustic, no slides. So, can we get first slides, please?
Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here back in Edmonton. It seems like we've been doing these hemp conferences for quite some time, and finally starting to see some real progress in the industry, real money being spent, real businesses actually importing, exporting products all over the world. And just want to say thanks to Jan and Alberta Innovates. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the government funding and support over the last decade. And what we've done since 2018 at Canadian Rockies Hemp is really focus on the fiber industry. It was always a byproduct of grain production. What we really wanted to focus on is single-purpose fiber production here in Alberta. So what we've done is really taken the full chain of supply chain from the farmers to harvesting to primary decortication to be able to supply manufacturers with a consistent, high-quality raw material, whether that's automotive, textiles, building materials, pulp and paper. Hemp has such a wide range of industries, and that's what's exciting. You know, we're competing with cotton, wood, fiberglass, polyester, carbon fiber. Hemp can really compete with a lot of these industries with the sustainable and performance touch of it. So since 2018, we really have worked on developing a production program with farmers, adapting technologies, varieties, decortication equipment here in Alberta, and we're now processing at a very large capacity. In the last 12 months, we've processed over 2 million pounds of hemp fiber and exported that now all over the world. So it's a testament to our team, you know, our farmers, our government. We're really building this industry, and I think we're just starting to see the opportunity ahead. And kind of really comes back to what we have here in Alberta is the agricultural advantage, the Alberta advantage. And I think with what we've learned in the last several years on the R&D side, we're really now transforming that into large, broad acres. And that goes hand in hand with the agronomy, the harvesting, and the genetics. So those three of them combined will allow economics on the farm to be a viable rotational crop for the long time ahead. And so we've had to adapt different harvesting technologies, different varieties from other parts of the world to be able to fit into crop rotations here in Alberta. And over the last 5 years, we've increased yields, we've increased soil carbon, and a lot of farmers are now seeing the real benefits of this crop and what it can bring. And I think that, you know, it starts at the supply chain. If it wasn't for farmers and that production, manufacturers wouldn't have this raw material. So we really focus on making sure that we can have consistent, high-quality, volume feedstock that can be provided to these manufacturers. That, as I mentioned, the strong farmer partnerships are key. So since 2019, we've grown 13,000 acres of single-purpose fiber. So that's harvested before seed maturity, to give us a higher quality fiber and a more consistent fiber. And we really are now just at the tipping point of 14,000 acres grown. This is what one of our processing lines in Bruderheim needs to be able to process annually. And we built our facility to have 4 processing lines in it eventually. 2 of them are currently in place in Bruderheim. 1 is operating 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Yesterday, we actually had our best production day. Processed over 40,000 pounds in 1 shift. We have 6 containers going out to China next week for pulp and paper. We're sending building materials down to Idaho, to Wisconsin, to Quebec. It's really starting to see, opportunity after years of hard work pay off. And what we see of an investment here in Bruderheim of about $30 million since 2019, I think is just the tip of the iceberg of what's about to come with now that raw primary processing is established. Value-add manufacturing is really the next point. And this is where we're seeing the significant customer demand. Manufacturers want to be close to the raw material source. That's why we're close to our farmers, our processing, but then that continue down the line in the supply chain. So we have a wide range of customers and markets. I mentioned, China, India, the US are large partners. Shipping this product around the world is not only bad for the carbon footprint, but economics start to then be dwindled when your shipping costs are so high. So we're starting to see a lot of demand of manufacturers wanting to localize and centralize around these primary processors, such as ourselves. But what we're seeing here in Canada is the big demand now for building materials. So I don't think we're ever going to get to a point where Canada is producing high-quality textiles like a lot of other places in the world. But building materials, biocomposites, pulp and paper, that's what we do well already. So complementing those industries with a more sustainable, natural, plant-based material just makes a lot of sense. So as we kind of move past primary processing, these are the initiatives that we'll be working on over the next couple of years. Carbon credit monetization is something I think we've all talked about. We've done 4 years now of data collection, working with the Canadian Hemp Trade Alliance, the University of Alberta, on a life cycle assessment on calculating the full carbon footprint of growing hemp, harvesting hemp, decorticating hemp, and then getting that product to manufacturers to know really what is that carbon sink and that carbon offset. So we're only about 4 months away from actually being able to have serialized carbon credits on the soil organic side, to be able to start compensating farmers, to be able to actually have true quantified data on how much carbon is being sequestered with this crop. Getting into milling, expanding primary decortication, bad insulation. These are just a couple of the initiatives we've been working hard on the last couple of years, but that primary decortication, that supply of that raw material is really what's key. You can't make a car panel if you don't have that decorticated material. You can't make a hempcrete block unless you have that farmer growing that crop and processing it. So we've really kind of tried to narrow our focus on just be that reliable source of that raw material supplier so manufacturers can feel confidence in this industry that if I want to offset polyester or wood pulp, well, I know that that hemp fiber is going to be there time and time again, and it's the same spec that I got last time. So we're making really good strides, and we're really excited for what the industry is about to come. And I also want to just say thank you to our sponsors, our supporters. We wouldn't be here today. AFSC has been tremendous. We talk about financing and the opportunity. They financed our facility back in 2019. They've been a tremendous supporter of ours. Same with Alberta Agriculture and Irrigation. A lot of government funding to help develop technology, harvesting equipment, add to our employment. NRC IRAP has helped us now for several projects on the equipment and optimization side. Export Development Canada, RDAR, the reason why our varieties are getting better, our agronomics are getting better is a lot of help from RDAR over the last couple of years. ATB, BDC, and Alberta Innovates. We also just got a new grant funding from Alberta Innovates to then bring on our line 2. So thank you all for the support.
Morning, everyone. Here we go. All right, let's go now. Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Diggenstein from DV Textile Solutions. I'm going to give quite a brief overview on one of the initiatives we're working on, which is manufacturing lyocell fiber from Alberta-grown hemp. So just a little bit of background on what DV Textile Solutions is. We are not new to the textile industry, but we are new to the hemp world here. So we are an Edmonton-based manufacturer of high visibility and flame-resistant narrow width trim that you might see on protective clothing like for firefighters, police officers, oil and gas workers. So our manufacturing capabilities include, where am I aiming this at? Oh, there we go. So we start with warping, where we take small cones of yarn and that's wound onto large beams. This moves on to the weaving department, where we take these beams and put them onto our looms, and then these yarns are interlaced and woven into a fabric. The fabric then moves into our finishing range, where we have 2 scouring units which wash the fabric for any oils or lubrications that are required for the warping and weaving departments. Then to a chemical bath, 2 infrared chambers, and finally 2 ovens. These help to stabilize the fiber for dimensional stability and UV stability, as well as help stiffen up the fiber as it's easier to manipulate when we sell to our customers to sew onto garments. So since 2018, we've been looking for ways to better secure our fiber supply, as we've been having challenges with supply chain issues, transportation, even before COVID. So I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey into why we're exploring now lyocell as a promising fiber supply for us. Oh, and did I miss this lamination stage? I did. So finally, this is where the reflective silver is laminated onto our fabric. Quite an important step for that. So being in the textile industry, we're very aware of the environmental impacts of overall fiber production. So on a global scale, we're now producing over 100 million tons of fibers each year. This is anticipated to grow to 147 million tons by 2030. This production is associated from the raw material extraction stage to the garment construction stage, contributes to 2.9 gigatons of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions on an annual basis. So this is roughly the same amount of emissions as the entire country of India, with a population of 1.4 billion people. So huge emissions from the textile industry. In Canada alone, we also generate over 400,000 tons of textile waste going to our landfills. And of course, this doesn't include any of the textiles that we might export through secondhand markets. And associated with this overproduction is the anticipated cellulose gap, where it's anticipated that by 2030, the demand for cellulosic fiber, like cotton, will outweigh supply. So just taking a look at the market share by fiber type. So the industry is really dominated by polyester and cotton at 54% and 22% respectively. I also just want to point out man-made cellulosic fibers here at 6.3%, which lyocell would be included in that fiber segment. And I'll come back to what exactly man-made cellulosic fibers are in a couple of slides. But why exactly does polyester and cotton dominate the fiber market? It really has to do with both the external physical structure of the fiber as well as the internal chemical structure of the fiber. So when we look at something like a polyester, which is a synthetic engineered fiber, has a really uniform diameter, smooth fiber, and it's a very long fiber length, and this helps contribute to both its strength and durability. Whereas you see with cotton here, much more irregular shaped fiber, but the chemical structure is very hydrophilic or water-loving, which makes it very comfortable and breathable when worn next to the skin. So whether on their own or in a fiber blend, these properties really lend themselves to a lot of and variety of end-use applications, which is why they're so popular. However, the resource intensity associated with their production makes them less than ideal from an environmental perspective. So coming back to that, man-made cellulosic fibers, also known as regenerated cellulosic fibers, you may be familiar with some of these types such as rayon or viscose, lyocell, modal, and acetate. These come from traditional sources like bamboo, eucalyptus, wood pulps, and even cellulosic waste, so things like cotton linters or the remnants of the cotton fiber process. But regardless of the source or the type, they follow a common set of steps where you want to really separate any contaminants, purify the fiber before it's dissolved into a solution. At this step, you can add any treatments or additives depending on the desired end use before it's extruded into a long, continuous filament fiber. So we see here a close-up of a lyocell fiber, and the physical structure of it really is similar to that of a polyester fiber, as we saw before. But actually, the internal chemical structure is more reminiscent of cotton as it is a cellulosic. So in this sense, what we can really do here is combine the beneficial properties of a natural fiber like cotton and a synthetic fiber like polyester into one regenerated or man-made cellulosic fiber. So from this, we really see an opportunity to move from our current scenario where we have no source of domestic fiber in Canada. Really, we're reliant on imports, which are often untraceable from both an environmental and social perspective in terms of where it's made and how it's made. Towards this opportunity of a reshoring or onshoring of our fiber supply, using bast and hurd as our lyocell feedstock. So actually by varying the ratio of bast to hurd within this feedstock or in our dissolving pulp, we can create new fiber properties and engineer them based on the desired end use. So anything from consumer clothing and home textiles to PPE and those higher value-added applications. With the added benefit of reduced processing and reduced environmental impacts compared to conventional fiber production. So to date, we are an industry partner in this initiative alongside the University of Alberta doing the research with us. So far we have secured our equipment and funding, and actually earlier this year we had some successful extrusion of our lyocell, if you can see. I know it's a little hard to see, but very proud of this. So our next immediate steps will be to characterize our dissolving pulp, so determining its viscosity or its chemical properties, and then as well to assess the physical properties of the extruded fibers, so its tensile strength, its elongation, its moisture content, to see how it compares with conventional fibers. And then further down the line, of course, we want to scale up and commercialize, and then we're working towards incorporating these fibers within our own production processes at Davy Textile Solutions, so we're actually also a customer of this end product as well. So I know that was a very brief, quick overview, so happy to answer any questions here or throughout the conference. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just get this right. My name is Dan Madlung. I'm with Biocomposites Group. Our brand is Fibre. We've been at it a few years, selling commercially for about 6, and then, I don't know, 4 or 5 years to get started before that. I want to talk about the value chain, and we got a whole bunch of smart people in the room, but I'm going to put it out there. I don't think we understand the value chain, and I'm going to just talk about one. I'm not going to talk about herd or some kind of automotive part or something. I'm just going to talk about this. So, a couple questions to start. What does a farmer get paid for his straw per metric ton? I don't want to talk pounds today. I want to talk metric tons. Just shout it out. $30 to $50 a ton. Okay. You're pretty cheap. He's pretty cheap, that guy. Okay. 100, 200, somewhere in there, okay? If you go into PV Mart and you go to buy this product made by Fibre, how much is that a metric ton? Throw it out. 20,000? Anybody else? 2,000? Okay. Anybody else? 16,000. Okay, sounds like an auction. So I'm gonna tell you later. I'll just throw it out there. You're all too low. And so that's the value chain. And do you understand the steps in that value chain? And do you understand the ability to make money at this business? So that'll be about third or fourth slide. So Fibre, we dabble in a few different market channels, and so we do a lot of pet bedding and animal health products. We do a lot of growth media products. I met some folks back there who grow microgreens on our mats in vertical gardens and trying to reduce the transportation from California to here. And not only that, they grow these products on our mats and then they send them over to India. So it's pretty interesting trying to, as I meet different people here. And then we dabble in a few other areas like erosion control and that. So that's Biocomposites. You can see here the two owners of Biocomposites are, I don't know if that's left or right on your screen, but my wife Brenda and I. And if you got any questions, you're probably better off ask Brenda. And Troy's next to him. He's our new sales and marketing guy. He's been with us over a year. That's our crew. We have a pretty big crew. It's bigger now than when that picture was taken a few months ago. Things are growing very quickly, and most of those people have been with us for a long time. So there's not. We have some turnover. We're as we grow right now. We're growing pretty quickly, so we have some turnover on that. What we do. So we have a hemp decorticator, a relatively small one. Some of you knew it from before. It used to belong to Hempco. We bought it and moved it over, and we run that now. So what you'll see here is our facility goes right. We buy straw and produce consumer packaged goods. We can screen the herd. We got a pretty elaborate screening system, and we can make fibers suitable for non-wovens. So that's a big issue. We bought this facility some time back because for us to get proper fiber at the time, we had to bring it in from Europe, and this facility came for sale, and we bought it because we didn't want to bring fiber in from Europe. We wanted to develop the supply chain here, and thank goodness we did because the cost of freight got so high. We have a non-woven needle punch line, and so I'm not sure who knows what that is. It doesn't really matter. It was designed to make automotive parts out of wood fibers, and It's a 34,000 square foot facility. The line is very large. It does 8-foot wide continuous production. And its design capacity is 2 tons per hour. We run at about 1 ton per hour. So if you multiply that by 5, that's how much straw you need to feed our line when it's running. We do consumer packaged goods. So to do this takes quite a bit. You have to make the mat. Well, first you got to decorticate, and you have to find the right fiber. You have to make those mats. There's 5 of them here. And then you have to pack, you have to sort every one because consumers don't want a flaw on that mat. And then you have to make your label, and then you have to package that. You have to put it in a box, put it on pallets, load a truck. And believe it or not, we send these out by the truckload. About just this product alone, I don't know, 35,000 mats in a truck. And those go out more than monthly. And so our newest thing is private label. And I want to talk a bit about this when I talk about the value chain a little more and give the answer to my question. Because I think we need to do this as an industry. This is where we are. This is the future is now. Because we're getting to the point where we've got facilities up and running and they're producing, and I think there's a huge need to move the industry forward quickly, and we can do that by working together. We also make a lot of custom products. So over the years, I don't know if you know, a lot of you have been to our facility. It's a nice trip down memory lane this morning. And we have a lot of different capabilities that we've made over the years. We have ability to make, we got a 5-foot by 9-foot press, heated press, and a lot of different facilities like that we can make products. And everything is at a scale that we can make enough to develop markets, not just make enough for a prototype. So here's the answer. It's at the bottom. This is $30,000 per metric ton. So you're all a little bit light. And so here's the value chain, and I haven't seen it presented this way, but it struck me that where's the value added? So when you got straw, I put 150, it's not absolute, but, and some people pay less and some more, and some straw has more value than other straw. The fiber, I put $1,000, so that's the uptick. That's not the true value of the fiber, and some fiber costs more, some less. And then, so once you get that fiber, you produce these goods here. And so that's the value that we sell this to a distributor. And then sometimes we sell this to a wholesaler. So if you're a store that has 2 or 3 stores and you distribute yourself, then we'll sell you a smaller lot than a distributor at that price. And then wholesalers and distributors and us through maybe Amazon or through our website, we sell these at retail to you and I. So there's the uptick. And there's a few takeaways for me here. I never hear anybody talking about distributors or wholesalers. And that's where the value is, and we can't have farmers selling straw unless we have the person on the right-hand side actually paying $30,000 a ton for this. So where in this room is the expertise of knowing where the retailers are? So how do we get these products to the retailer? So when we go out there and talk to retailers, they say, oh, we've dealt with hemp companies before. They could never deliver. It's a disaster. I don't think I want to talk to you today. Or they'll say, oh, I only deal with such and such a distributor. And then you go to that distributor, and you're introduced to them by, some nice federal people who introduce you to people like that, and then they say, oh, no, we're not interested in that. And so where's those connections, and where are the expert salespeople in the room? And so, you know, yeah, there's cost to these different groups. They have to pay transportation, they have to warehouse a lot, they have to have a storefront. But all the talk in the room is about straw and fiber. And yet, there's very little value there. And there's no use having that without the consumer packaged goods side and the retailers. And I can tell you right now that the customers want hemp products. They want them really badly. And so what we've started to do as a company is we've said, okay, if you got some fiber, we'll take that fiber and we'll private label. We will make products and put your label on it because you're a decorticating company, and you have a whole bunch of herd for sale that you're selling to a pet company, and that pet company, you have a relationship with them. So you could take our products and have a foot in the door and sell them there. And so all of a sudden, we sell our products to a distributor price to a decortication company, and then they market that with the channels they've already developed. And so what the net impact is we've got an army of salespeople out there selling hemp fiber products, where my army is Brenda, Troy, and I. And so if you've got this army out there, people are seeing those products. And we deal in a lot of countries, and you know, sometimes there's barriers to get into those, but if you're a US company and you have a relationship, you can get into that US, or if you're Australian, or if you're in Europe. So and we're in all those countries, but the biggest success is having this army of locals. So I want you to think a lot about that, and if we're gonna move this industry forward, a decortication company isn't gonna do it. And I'm not gonna be able to do it. We need the farmer, decortication company, us, but we also need distributors, wholesalers, and customers. And I'm just gonna leave. I'm not gonna talk any more about it. Hopefully I get my point across. And if you want a future in this industry, why spend $30 million on a decorticator, or in our case, $20 million for ours, when you can make $1,000 a ton? Why don't you build a warehouse and get 15,000? So think through that a bit. There's more opportunities in this industry, and we need them all. Okay, so the current state, it's real exciting. It's the first time that I can buy quality fiber. This product was developed because the fiber quality would allow it. And so the first time now I can buy fiber that's suitable for composites, including automotive and panels. And so that's real exciting. I don't have to go to Europe for it. I can buy it here. We have excess capacity, and so do a lot of others, because I don't think we've developed the retailers and the wholesalers. And there's a huge interest in hemp all of a sudden. We've never sold so much as we have the last few months, and it just seems to be exponential. So the work that we've done to introduce the products has now, you know, as an industry, is taken hold. Thanks again. I got a lot of governments have supported us, and a lot of communities and governments buy our products. And if you want to support the farmer in your area, buy our products, buy Aaron's products, because that's how you're going to support a farmer. And that's all. Thank you.
I'll tell you, Dan's got me rethinking my business plan. You know, if he's getting 40 grand for that, you know, I've overcomplicated my life. 30, good enough, brother. You know, no, it's great. I want to thank, obviously, Alberta Hemp Alliance, and it's great to see a lot of you again after 2 years of being away a little bit. You know, I see this industry in a lot of different ways. I've been yanked in to maybe also participate on the finance and economics section this afternoon, but today I just want to introduce Inca, or reintroduce Inca to some of you. You know, Tam and I started our careers in a similar time, so we're OG. This is 1998. Tam, I remember work he was doing. My chief technology officer and I actually created the first natural fiber composites company in North America for the auto industry. You know, basically what we were doing is at scale, because when Toyota calls up and they want 40,000 door panels, you can't kind of scale up in the garage. We basically replaced glass fiber reinforced polymers, plastics, in the middle of door panels and seat backs and headliners and package trays with polymer reinforced with natural fiber. Sounds fairly basic. These were done in fairly sophisticated non-woven lines, needle looms, as they say. And what we did is we reduced the amount of polymer being used in those cars by 50%, the petroleum products by 50%. But we also decreased the weight by 20% while increasing the strength. The interesting thing about natural fibers, they're very resilient. So in impact, glass fiber, high tensile strength, low impact strength, so all of a sudden you got safer cars. So it was an easy sell to Ford, GM, Chrysler. That company, Flexform Technologies, is still up and running. I sold it to a big hedge fund in LA, and then Gary Balthus, our chief technology officer, went on and built the most sophisticated facility in North America, Carver Non-Woven Technologies, for a guy named Roy Carver. These are very big operations, but the problem with both of them is that we were always reliant on imported fiber from Southeast Asia. So we were importing jute or knaf, and that was costing about 80 cents a pound, about the same as glass fiber. So what we're really proposing to do here in Canada is to utilize the resource that's been grown legally for 20 years for plant-based protein, refine this to very specific fiber geometries, and then turn that into direct replacements for not only glass-reinforced plastics, but it turns out that when you refine hemp, that 1,000-pound bale that comes into our facility, we can also strip off the really small, very fine fiber for injection plastics. And it turns out that the core, and we do that, by the way, at low pressure and low temperature. So that's the patents, is if you put natural fiber through heat cycles, it weakens it. Same with polymers, same with like polypropylene. But if you can make injection pellets under low pressure, low temperature, you can get phenomenal parts out of that. And so we are doing that at industry scale. The core of that plant, as you guys know, heard, very interesting properties, obviously very lightweight, low density, but the beauty of it is that we've patented a methodology to pulp it and then dry it in an RF, a radio frequency oven, a dryer. RF is interesting because it only affects the water molecules. It doesn't destroy the cellular structure. And then we press that down a line to make a direct replacement for balsa wood. And we were talking about margin products. Balsa wood is used widely in aerospace. It's used in the core of wind turbine blades where you have tremendous tensile and compressive forces. You can use foams on the outer edge as cores for those 100-meter long blades, but where that thing attaches to the turbine is a world of hurt. And so we've worked with our commercialization partner, Gurrit, and now with Enercon to create a direct replacement for balsa wood at a greatly reduced price. So in the RV industry, we're making panels. People don't realize that the RV industry, just in Elkhart, Indiana alone, that's the home of the RV manufacturing facilities, they use 600 million square feet of rainforest plywood. So we're cutting down Borneo, Indonesia, Malaysia to make RV sidewalls. So we've developed a panel product made out of the long fiber material with a thermoset resin system to directly replace those panel products, and Winnebago is our commercialization partner. Recently, our company has pivoted. Our original business plan was going to make a decortication of fiber processing facility close to the hemp fields up here. Then we were going to ship fiber down to Indiana, close to our RV and automotive customers. We have made a decision over this last 4 or 5 months to do everything in Canada. You guys have incredible opportunity. We've been fortunate to get some impressive government support, including it's 10 million Canadian grant from Emissions Reduction Canada. It's a matching grant. We have to spend the money and then recoup it. And also we've been awarded, and we're fortunate and thankful to the Department of Agriculture for an initial grant of about $400,000. By doing that, by clustering it, we think we can be much more cost effective, and as you know, the automotive industry in Canada is booming. Canada's also producing wind turbine blades. It has a marine industry. So I'm very proud to say that we're going to keep the value-added chain here in Canada. We're a big believer in dual-use crop. So there's this big debate in the room. I know, like some people swear that you grow fiber you grow hemp for fiber, long bamboo-like material, and you grow hemp seed, but we're working with Verve Seeds, who are really instrumental in the canola industry, really launching the canola industry in Canada, to create a dual-use optimum crop that doesn't grow too high, so easy to harvest, and then easy to take that fiber and turn that in. We don't want to take away from the food chain. We really believe in plant-based proteins philosophically and environmentally, and then we want to take that remaining biomass by creating that dual-use crop. That income from that seed on top and that stock that we'll pay about $150 a ton for, that makes hemp a very viable cash crop in the prairie. So that is our goal. Where we're at today is over this last 3 years, we've raised $8 million. We've patented all of our products. We've developed these at full line trials. So when I talk about automotive prepregs at Toyota, we've made thousands of feet of that. They've made door panels out of that. We work with our industrial customers. They give us back the data. We adjust the product. So we're inventors, but we work with customers on that invention and then commercialization. Unfortunately, we'll start with the good stuff. We've engineered this facility. We know what it looks like. We've got good contractors to build it and great traction, market traction. We'll essentially be capacity, not production constrained. So we'll never be market constrained. We're basically sold out by the day we launch. I would say that I've watched this industry grow here. I think it's almost like the analogy, the elephant and the blind man, right? Everybody's got a piece of that elephant and describes it in very different ways. But I so echo the sentiments both of the minister and of this professional group in the room that it's a real ecosystem. We want everything all the time. We want people making all kinds of value-added products. We want farmers it has to be profitable and sustainable. We want to support those communities. We want to pay living wages. Our factories, by the way, are zero-waste facilities, generate no air, water pollution. We pay living wages. All of our employees will be owners. We have a very generous stock option program. And the operation alone, first 5 years, sequesters over 0.5 gigaton of carbon. So this is really, that bale of hemp is 45% carbon when it comes in. When you turn it into composites, it's sequestered. But because of our technologies that we've developed, we can then recycle back into products post-industrial waste as well as post-consumer waste. So when you make a door panel, you mold that thing with an automotive prepreg, you cut out the windows and the doors and all those little holes you see for your speaker systems. Currently, that all falls on the factory floor, and that gets taken to the dump. not exactly a great use of sequestering carbon. So we can take that material and put it right back into injection plastics. So with that, I'm going to cut it short. I know I'm standing between you, food, the restrooms, and your cell phone, so I'm going to get out of harm's way, but happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you very much.
So as I said, I promised you that the lunch won't be served at noon, but I think that was definitely worth waiting for our panelists. Questions to our speakers? Oh, come on. It's a shy group. Perry. Come over here. Come over here.
Jan talks, so you have to listen to him twice. If you sell to a distributor and they go direct to retail, the markup is 3 times. And that's because this is a new product. They're taking more risk. Between distributor and wholesale is 50%, and between wholesale and retail is 100% markup. But if you look at a commodity product, let's say MDF, OSB, lumber, some of those distributors only take 10%. But in order to, one, entice them to take hemp products, which are new, and reduce their risk, and until this is a product that people are buying a lot of, those are the kind of margins you need to entice the big guys. So that's how that works.
So it becomes a logistics issue. We have to be within a couple 100 kilometers of where hemp's being grown. So that makes it more of a rural play. We've had a lot of discussions with Vegreville, which is sort of a nice combination of being in a region on a rail spur heading east. A lot of rail spurs are heading west these days, carrying other things. So logistics is important to us. But I would say that we'll probably focus initially on rural areas, and Vegreville has a wonderful new industrial area that the city owns. They've been very cooperative of dropping our power and water where we want it with the right logistics. So I'll just leave it at that.
Excellent, thank you. So our next speaker is Dennis Killoram, and I want to recognize him because some people are bragging for how long they are with hemp industry. This farmer, this grower has been growing hemp for how many years? You started, when did you start?
When I was a young man.
Yes, when he was a young man. So it was just half a century ago. So I want to recognize Dennis. Guys, a round of applause for Dennis, the first hemp grower that I met, and I've been in hemp industry for 22 years. Dennis.
Yeah, and you got me all flustered here now. A question for just about all of you. Back in the day, car parts, panels, it was all everybody's idea. I mean, that's what we were kind of going on the fiber for. It's the same ideas, but now we have decortication facilities. Back then, there was none. I'd like to ask you, we had to jump on the U.S. market back when we started this, but now they've jumped on board. We've kind of dropped the ball in the last 20 years, on and off again type of thing, and everybody knows that, the ebb and flow of this whole industry. Is the U.S. actually a competitor to you now, or do you use them as sources, or do we still have the jump on them?
Who wants to take this?
I think I can answer that. Yeah, I mean, listen, you guys, I'm a transplant, a Trump refugee. I moved up here from California to help build this industry. But our U.S. operations, the reason why U.S. jumped is obviously there's a lot of automotive action around Detroit, et cetera. All the tier ones are there, the tier two suppliers. We basically pioneered it because Europe in the late 80s had recycling laws that the US didn't have. And so as a result, you could do lots with steel, you could do lots with chrome rubber, you couldn't do shit with all the plastics in a car. It's reinforced with glass, you can't recycle it. So that's why when we brought technology, big technology, to the US, that kind of took off at Flexform and then at Carver. So the US took the lead. The advantage here is domestic supply chain, and that's what everybody's sort of been echoing, is that by going from imported fiber from Southeast Asia at 80 cents to manufacturing it here, it's 8 cents a pound. That's a big deal when it comes to margins and viability of an industry, and attracts capital, et cetera. When people talk car parts, I want to give everyone serious second thought consideration. To make automotive parts or composite materials, you need 99.8% pure fiber at specific lengths, at specific geometries to make proper materials. The generation of automotive parts, automotive prepregs we're making now is now 20% stronger with no sacrifice of strength, doing it a whole new way. It's no longer a traditional non-woven line. Non-wovens are great, high loft materials for insulation in car parts. You guys should go crazy over. There's some other opportunities in automotive. But if you're gonna make proper next generation materials, you're talking about $20 to $30 million minimum capital investment, very high quality, very high. Our machines run at 8.5 tons an hour. Big ass machines. Very precision materials, plus or minus 5% thicknesses. So when you look at this material, it's beautiful, and I'm switching businesses because he's got a great business that I could worry a lot less. I won't even go there. But this material, so I just want people to understand that when people have aspirationally used and shown pictures of door panels their whole lives, usually they're my panels in those brochures. I mean it. I mean, this is a different kind of an industry altogether. So just something to think about. We're a buyer, we're a player. We can probably buy fiber from people and process it, but we have to refine it to very precise geometries.
Aaron Barr. I told you would be
Yeah, thank you. Believe it or not, we actually have a very significant regulatory advantage in Canada compared to the US. The Certified Seed Program, Health Canada providing that overarching regulatory. The US is still federally legal to grow hemp. Each state has the Farm Bill, each state has its own regulations, but it's still regulated by USDA. They still have to do THC testing. A lot of varieties that are being grown in the US are going hot, being brought in from China, Australia, different latitudes, different soil types, different growing conditions. They have a very volatile market in the US, and Canada still grows more hemp than the US. And so I think with the regulatory advantages and then our environmental advantages, lower farmland value, we don't grow corn, soybeans, vegetables, ornamental crops. You have to pay the farmer based on what other crops he can grow. If he can grow vegetables, he can also grow hemp, but you have to pay him the same as if he was gonna go grow vegetables. Plus, we have these long daylight hours in our summertime. So to grow a single-purpose hemp fiber variety that grows 16 feet tall in 70 days, that's tough to compete with just pure economics and biomass cost per pound. So the US definitely is pushing ahead, but I still think we have a lot of advantages here in Canada to be a stationary point in the industry for a long time. To be the US as a collaborator, they're gonna be a big purchaser of our products, a lot like oil and gas. We're great at producing raw materials. The US is a much bigger market for consumer base and manufacturers. I think they'll be a great partner of ours for the long term.
Any other question?
I'll tell you, I wish, have we recorded this? Because I'll tell you, this story, I get goosepimples. I mean, you are the stars. You as a leader in helping bring this together. But I'll tell you, every one of you has just done an extraordinary job in convincing me anyway that we really... we may be early, but we're good. And I'll tell you, your comments about our competitiveness and the advantages to be in Alberta, which the minister echoed, were demonstrated. So let's go have some lunch and feel really good. But 12:45, we'll have a brief presentation. It shouldn't interfere for lunch. If you can exit slowly, though, lunch is being buffeted out there. But if you all rush out, it's going to be a disaster. So try and exit from that end first. Thank you, guys, very, very much. That really was, I'm not kidding, that was superb.